Hi, I'm doing a response video to the video How YouTube Really Works. There's a problem with your tough shit attitude about this change at YouTube. What you're not doing is thinking this out too much, apparently. If you were to think this out, you would realize what the problem is with adding flagging to the process of deciding where the video, in fact, can be found. Because what it does is it is effectively a way of suppressing politically unpopular viewpoints by giving people who flag a power that they would not normally have. For instance, let's say that you have a video that is very popular. Let's say it's a video that says something against Islam. Maybe even a very good video, a scholarly video, one that in fact has a very legitimate thing to say. All it takes is a large number of Muslims or people who are politically correct to send the word around to flag the video, and a video that is in fact very popular will suddenly become demoted. In other words, it's possible that the flagging could somehow override the natural democratic process. It's sort of almost like the way a filibuster works in the Senate, which is that one person who decides to get up on the podium and bitch and moan and groan forever can actually keep a law from being passed that 99% of the people in the body would like to pass. So if you say something that offends one group, all they have to do is engage in a very, very organized flagging. And so what happens is that how high your video goes or how low your video goes is dependent less on how many people want to see it and more dependent upon how easily offended the people are that you are criticizing. This means that gay videos, videos that say anything against Islam, videos that are done by atheists will be incredibly difficult for other gay people, other atheists, and other free thinkers to find. That means that even those of us who want to find a video will be unable to find it. Now, there would have been a very, very easy way for YouTube to deal with this. They could simply have set up in their software what everyone else does on the internet, and that is they set up filters. You could go through and you could put into your personal search that you don't want anything about gays or atheists, or you don't want anything that has ever been flagged by somebody who doesn't like anti-Islamic videos or videos that are simply critical of Islamic. So if you're a Muslim person and you'd rather not see videos that are critical of Islam, you could put that into your search engine. But see, the way it works now is that instead of that Islamic person, for instance, putting it into their search engine so that they don't have to see certain videos going up high on their list, they now can affect it so that you will not see that video. What this does is it gives powers, an incredible amount of power to vocal minorities, and it actually makes the process less democratic. It makes it so that it's as if the Congress is no longer democratic. It's as if the Congress is simply handing its power over to a bunch of lobbyists, where the lobbyists decide what gets passed. Or to make it even more, to make the analogy even more direct, imagine if a large number of laws are set and put down into the hopper in the American Senate. For those of you who aren't Americans, it probably works similarly. So you have, let's say, 500 laws, but only 190 of them can get passed because that's all the time there is. Which laws get to the top and which laws get to the bottom? Well, it has to do with people's constituency. Who writes letters? It has to do with the beliefs of the people who answer opinion polls. But imagine if it were given over to people with a large amount of money i.e., if it were given over to lobbying groups, so that the things that got to the top would be controlled by a small group of people who were just far more vocal. Imagine what kind of laws would get passed, how many laws would even get publicized as being important to talk about publicly if lobbying groups and special interests had control over which laws would get to the top and would even come to the floor to even be voted on. People can't discuss and react the way I am to a video that they can't see. And when videos go to the top or the bottom based not on their popularity, on how many people decided they were pertinent and how many people wanted to watch them, but how many people are offended by them, then you create a very homogenous, very bland experience in which nobody's offended and which speech is effectively censored. It isn't people playing with their nipples. It is not people saying offensive things or using cuss words. It is people making statements such as God does not exist, which he does not, or making the statement that the American government's foreign policy is not in the best interest of Palestinians. All it takes is a bunch of people from Israel to flag that video. It's going to be things like someone making a statement about what is and is not in the Quran. So if someone tells the truth, even reading out of the Quran, as I have done, all it takes is a bunch of imams and Muslim people, which there are millions and millions of them that are on the internet. All it takes is a large number of them flagging videos. Once people realize the power that flagging has, everyone would be flagging. And so what you're going to end up with is a situation in which the videos that get to the top are those that are the least offensive, the ones that are most mainstream, the ones that agree with the prevailing wisdom. The problem with that is that frequently the prevailing wisdom is nothing more than the prevailing myth. The prevailing wisdom is frequently bullshit. Now, I can guarantee you that the video you're listening to right now may not be seen by a large number of people simply because it's going to be flagged by people who don't like hearing the word bullshit. I'm okay with that because I probably shouldn't have used that word. The problem is when I get flagged simply because I tell the truth about somebody who doesn't want to hear it. Or if I have an opinion that is unpopular, or if I have an opinion that is not consistent with the prevailing wisdom. When people get to vote on whether a video is going to go to the top or the bottom, rather than voting with whether they've looked at the video, then you end up with a situation of total censorship. In other words, people are not being asked, did you watch this video and consider its content pertinent? The question will be, did you agree with it, and do you want this content to be seen by anyone else? Based not on whether you thought it was pertinent to begin with, but based on whether you agreed with it. That isn't democracy, that's censorship. All we're doing is democratizing censorship rather than the other way around, which was to democratize people's interests. It is very different to democratize interest, to democratize whether something caught your eye, to democratize whether you think a subject matter is important. It's a whole nother thing to democratize whether you think that something should be seen by other people because you don't like its content, because you're afraid of an opinion different than your own getting some sort of publicity. Anyway, this is Skeptic Sage, and I usually end my videos by saying that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and again, I have to give Pat Condell some sort of kudos here, because at the end of my video I usually tell people peace, and I really mean that. And I hope that YouTube sees this video and that they decide to rethink this, because they really can make a lot of money without turning YouTube into a lobbying agency.